What's up, guys? This is Sammy Geek back here with another video, and I have a special one today. Today is the Aiwa Exos 3 review, and what we're going to do is pit this up against the JBL Flip and the JBL Boombox. And as always, I'm going to get you guys my real deal feedback and let you guys know what I think about this. I've been able to spend some time with this speaker, actually a lot of time over the past week or so, and listen to this thing indoors, outdoors, in a basement, in a garage, wide open spaces, enclosed spaces, lots of different music. So I've got a full review and full feedback. Normally in my reviews, I do not go through specs. If you're interested in the specs, check out the Aiwa website. I just want to talk about sound quality, what I thought of this thing, and would I recommend this speaker. So this is an interesting one. So let's do this. Let's first jump into the audio test, and then I've got a lot of information to share with you guys. So I'll kick off the audio test here, and I'll be back with you guys in a second.
Through the highways, till my shadow turns to sun rays, and on we'll go. Through the wastelands, through the highways, and on shadow turns to sun rays, and on we'll go. Through the wastelands, through the highways, and on we'll go.
All right, guys, I hope that you enjoyed the audio test, and it's always an interesting one because it's tough to listen to music over YouTube and try to figure out, hey, is this actually, you know, what the speaker sounds like in person? But hey, at least now you guys have a little bit of an idea of what this sounds like as compared to something like a Flip or a JBL Boombox. I do not have the Charge, which the Charge would probably be the more appropriate size-wise, but I was able to listen. I'm familiar with those speakers. I had a Charge at another point and got rid of it. Actually, I got rid of it for two of these Flips at the time. But this is an interesting one. So my original thought, my first thought that comes to mind is to make, you know, for the folks that are watching this video and only have a quick minute to listen, this thing excels tremendously at 80+% volume. So if you listen, if you're the person, I'll cut right to the chase here. If you are the person that listens to your Bluetooth speaker at 80+% volume most of the time, and I'm talking your small speaker, I'm not talking about your very large you know, something like, I did a comparison. Of course, you guys saw, we compared this against the Boombox, but it's not quite as portable as something like this. So this thing is an absolute beast at 80+% volume. That's the bottom line. If you just wanted to know if this thing is powerful and loud, there's your answer. You can stop watching the video right now. But there's a lot more detail to share. It's very interesting because it's very loud, but there's a kind of a caveat to this. So I want to explain this, and I think the way that I figured out the best way to explain this is similar actually to another Aiwa video that I put out, because Aiwa has an interesting sound signature, as most manufacturers do. They're a little bit, they separate themselves a little bit from someone like a JBL or a Bose or a Sony in the way that I think they try to keep their audio as natural as possible. So imagine you're listening to any given song at volume, 20% on this speaker. You've got your bass, you've got your treble on sort of an EQ band. Most people listen to the bass and the treble a little bit higher on their EQ band, and then the mids drop down just a little bit. You are on, volume 10, volume 20% on this speaker. It is right here, right? So your bass and your treble. As you turn up the volume on this speaker, in other words, increase the power that you're giving this speaker, everything maintains the same, so it all goes up together. That's the way I can describe it, versus someone like Bose or JBL. So when you play the JBL at a low volume, 10%, 20%, 25%, you've got, actually your EQ looks more like this, where your bass is up here. So it's I don't want to necessarily use the word unnatural, but it's digitally boosting the bass essentially at those low volumes. So your bass is boosting, so now you're here at 25%. And so you go to 30, 40, 70, 80%, you start bringing everything up. At about 70% on like a JBL or a Bose, the bass essentially stops powering up. So the bass, at low volume, the bass is here and it maintains, and then you bring everything else up as you power up that speaker, as you're pressing the plus button. Now all of a sudden you're at 100%, and it's where it should be. And actually, in some cases, this is probably a good speaker to use as this example. As you get to 100%, actually your highs are sometimes passing up your bass. So what Aiwa does, in my opinion, is something different, and that's where they keep everything the same all the way to 100%. So everything is raising, so your bass is getting equally as loud as your highs as you get to 100%. So the EQ curve, or the sound signature that they're shooting for, aiming for their customers to hear, is really happening at any volume. So there's a drawback to that, though. And I think you guys probably know what I'm getting at here. If you play this speaker right now, the Aiwa speaker, at 10%, 20, 25%, you may to your ears say, well, that thing has no bass. It's not loud, it doesn't sound that great, because you're used to hearing things like the JBL, which are boosting the bass at the low volume, which I agree, I'm not gonna argue that point. So this speaker, for example, is a good speaker for somebody that listens to a speaker at 80+% volume, and they need something that's a powerhouse in a small package. Powerhouse in a small package is a great way to describe this speaker. This thing, when I brought it outside, you guys, I brought this outside and I played it. Number one, I'll put it in the description, but if you press and hold the plus button for just a couple of seconds, it actually boosts up. You get like an additional gain of decibels. It's just a little bit, but it's something that Aiwa lets us do as users. So if you buy the speaker, you have that ability to kind of give it the boost. But I listened to this speaker outdoors, and I was literally, if you guys could have seen my face, this thing was loud. I mean, it is ridiculous for the size. It's like, it's punchy. It's, I wouldn't describe it as earth-shaking bass, because you're not gonna get earth-shaking bass out of a small speaker, but it was punchy as hell. It was loud as hell, and it was clear. It's not like I was getting a lot of distortion. And so, you guys, I played all sorts of different music on this thing. I played everything from country to rock to EDM to rap. I mean, you name it, I listened to it. And I was thoroughly happy with this. The other day I was out raking leaves with it, and I used it in the backyard, and I was just cranking it, and it sounded great. I mean, just you see, this thing loves power, so it excels when you give it power. If you're going to use this inside and you're going to put this on your desk and you're going to listen to this thing at 20%, yeah, I mean, it's going to sound good, but it's not. Don't expect this thing to sound bassy at 20% or 30%. Again, there's another caveat to that, because Aiwa is coming out with a firmware update, which will actually then boost the bass. So the point is let's just say you listen to your speaker mostly at 80+%. You're going to love this. Now Aiwa comes out with this firmware update, and the thing will be a rock star at low volume too. So if I was a customer who listened to my speaker most of the time indoors, most of the time at 20-30%, at $170, I might consider a different speaker, truth be told. But if I'm then the customer that needs the most power, the loudest speaker out of the most compact size, there's just no, I would just choose Aiwa every single time. And this speaker, for the size, it is surprisingly ridiculously loud. That's all I can say about it. It's they really nailed it. Once that firmware comes out, I think it's really going to round out this speaker. So yeah, it's going to boost the bass, and you know, some people might argue that's not how the artist wanted you to hear it, but that's how your average consumer likes it in most cases. I guess myself included. If I'm going to listen at 20%, I want to hear a little bit more bass out of the speaker, but then I want it to be powerful when I crank it up too. So hopefully this review helps you guys out. The bottom line, I think, as I've said it before a couple times, if you love loud speakers, this thing is for you. If you listen to your speaker quiet, you might think of something like the JBL Flip or the JBL Charge. So thanks again for watching, guys. If you have any questions, drop them below. I try to answer every single question for you guys on all of my videos. And stay tuned for more Sammy Geek reviews on smartphones and Tesla and speakers and smartwatches and everything else that I get obsessed with buying and trying. So thanks again, guys. Peace out. Talk to you soon.